United Services Institute.
The number of people on 0 hours contracts is growing. Probably won't surprise you. The latest figures suggest almost 700 people were employed on a contract that doesn't guarantee a set number of hours.
The Office for National Statistics says that's 400,000 more than last year. The numbers are based on a survey which show that many workers have more than 1 0 hours contract to make ends meet. David Freeman from the ONS has analysed the figures.
Well, if you look at the number of people on 0 hours contracts in the context of all employment, it's around about 2% of all people in employment. And the sort of people who are doing these on these contracts, they tend to be women, people in full-time education, and also people either at the younger or older end of the spectrum, so people below 25 or above state retirement age. So perhaps the people who would perhaps benefit from some sort of flexibility around the hours that they work.
Will Davies from aspect.co.uk supports the use of 0 hours contracts, and Caroline Behrens is living in a council house because her 0 hours contract wasn't enough of a guarantee for a private landlord. Thank you both for being with us. Will, what are the benefits of 0 hours contracts?
Well, I think for certain people it can benefit them and also benefit the organisation that's offering it. I mean, we have about 200 or so engineers out on the road who are doing maintenance jobs, and a lot of those guys may be fitting that work in around either education or other work that they may be doing, and it gives them flexibility on when they're working and the number of hours that they might work each month. So I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all, but I think certain people, particularly where they're either at the younger end of the spectrum and fitting it around education, or perhaps at the older end and not wanting to work a fixed number of hours every month, it gives a bit of flexibility to the employee as well. And we can then fit it around busy periods. We know when in the day there's more plumbing, electrical problems occurring, and where the call on our engineers is greatest, and we'll have more people available at those times and less people available when the demand's not there.
It works for you then, clearly, but there is abuse of it, as you will be aware. And I wonder, even your workers, what sort of safety net they have. I mean, there isn't much, is there? There's no real help for them. If the work's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. And there's nothing else is guaranteed but the work that you do, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, I think they would probably get and they would confirm they get a better rate than they would if they were on a fixed hours contract, right. But it has some upside for them in that respect. But yes, they do not know for certain 1 month to the next, but most of our guys are getting the number of hours that they're looking for. We don't have those sort of issues, but I'm sure there are people, and we don't prevent people from having other contracts in place as well, i.e. doing work. I think where you have to be careful is that you can't prevent someone from doing work elsewhere if they're not getting the hours that they need through you. So some of our office staff that work in the call centre, they will have maybe 2 or 3 other jobs that they're also fitting this around, and that gives them kind of the opportunity to get hours elsewhere if we're not able to give them to them that month. But
Caroline, Will was saying there, it works if you're trying to be super flexible. It works for those who are young and those at the other end of the job market. What's your own experience with your landlord?
I found it really difficult. At the moment, loads of landlords are selling their houses because they're in financial problems, which is what I had, and trying to find somewhere else to live on a 0 contract hour, even though I've been doing it for nearly 2 years. No estate agent wants to know, so your wages isn't taken into consideration when you're trying to rent a property. And since last June, I've moved in 3 weeks ago, but it was last June I've been looking for somewhere to live, and in the end I had to go down the council because there's myself, my husband and 2 children, and the most that we could rent for was about £900 to £1,000 on my husband's wages. Even though I've been working for 2 years, when those people try and go out and find somewhere to live, they won't be able to, because no estate agent will take them on the 0 contract hours. It's like you're not working. Even if you prove it with your pay slips and your bank statements, it's no help at all.
That must be incredibly frustrating, Caroline, because as you say, you've been working for 2 years, you've got the proof, you're there in front of a desk, I imagine, trying to say, well, listen, this is my income, I can cover these payments, and yet you can't get the housing.
No, you can't. And I lived in my old house for 6 years. So, and we always paid the rent on time, so we could approve. My landlord gave us a good reference, and even though I gave them my pay slips to show, no estate agent, they said, sorry, no, we would have to have a guarantor.
There you go. Well, there's a reality for Caroline, and I would imagine many others as well.
Yeah, and I think it's a fact that it's not something that suits everybody, and there are downsides to it. But I mean, I know that we have had employees of ours who are looking to rent properties, and we will do a letter for them confirming the average number of hours that they've worked and how many hours we expect them to get, and show pay slips, and they haven't had those same sort of problems.
Okay, can I just ask Caroline if that... Caroline, did your employer do that for you?
My employer did that for me, and no, still, you're on a zero contract hour. That is not the correct case. Since last June, I've had such stress trying to find somewhere to live. You wouldn't believe. My house has been a stress house until luckily the council came to our help, and I'm very lucky that the council did, because I have got a place now, and it's mine, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I'm not
sure.
going to be kicked out. But no, that's absolute rubbish. I can tell you at least 5 or 6 estate agents that will not accept that.
There you go, Will.
Even with a letter, even with your bank statements, anything, they don't want you.
Go ahead, Will.
Well, no, I mean, that's just different experiences to those that we've had, but you can't get away from the fact that it is not something that suits everybody. But there are plenty of people out there that do benefit from the advantages and the flexibility that zero-hours contracts bring. So I think those people that are perhaps relying on that contract and those hours for things like buying a home or whatever it may be, maybe a zero-hours contract isn't something that they want to be entering into, but that doesn't mean that we should prevent those people who do like the flexibility of it from entering into zero-hours contracts.
Perhaps tighter rules around it might just be the best thing then, given that...
I think so.
Yeah?
I think there's got to be very close regulation around it to make sure that employers do not abuse zero-hours contracts. It's got to be something that suits both sides, and we've always been a supporter of that, and we won't force anyone to go onto a zero-hours contract that doesn't want to.
Mm-hmm. Well, Caroline, listen, the best of luck to you, and thank you very much indeed for talking to us on the programme.
Okay.
And thank you, Will. Caroline Berens there and Will Davies from aspect.co.uk.